It is the era of the solo game, and not that we've had much choice about it, but that doesn't mean that we can't enjoy it. Solo games are fabulous in their own right, and it's been a really great opportunity in the last year, if there's been any opportunities to be excited about, to sort of get more involved with those solo games and playing on your own. Previously, I was that person that always struggled not to cheat, and therefore veered away from solo games, but this last year has taught me a lot. Now, in our magazine, we have a regular feature called The Soloist, where we take a look at some of the best solo games that you can play. And when it was my turn, I headed straight down to the detective games, because you know me, I love detective games, I love social deduction games, I love those sort of sneaky intrigue ones. And I thought I'd share some of my thoughts with you based on that feature and based on the information that we included about why you should take a look at detective games for your solo option. Now, the question is there anything better than being a detective and being on the case and being able to go, I have deduced the answer and it is this? Or being able to go, elementary, my dear Watson, when someone goes, how did you figure that out? Well, just because I'm great. Just because I'm great, but also because these clues did so. I do believe a lifetime of Scooby-Doo has prepped me for this, but it does mean that I am good with detective games. They take me a while, but they are great fun. Now, if you look at how detective games have changed, we start out with the classic, which is Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. That sort of seems to be the default one that we all think of when you think immediately of the rise of detective games. Now, the game itself is relatively straightforward. You have tons of little booklets, and as you go through the game, you're going to be trying to find clues or searching for things. How do I find this person? Are they in the phone book? How do I find this? Are they written down here? Would that time of day mean they're working? All these sorts of little queries and questions for you to be able to solve a mystery and unfurl what happened are how you're taken through. And it's a very physical game. You sit there with all of your paperwork and you sort of go through the clues manually yourself to enjoy them. That is great. That is also great fun when you're around a table with other people because obviously you can share out those clues, but on your own you can quite easily sit there and work your way through it and be kept engaged, because that I find is half the difficulty with solo games. There is only you there to motivate yourself. You are going to have to be the one that doesn't reach for your phone partway through. You're going to have to be the one that doesn't get disturbed. You're going to have to keep your head in the game. With something like a detective game with this, when you're trailing through different bits of paperwork to work out what's going on, this is where you are engaged. This is why it's a great fun option for you. Moving on though, there are more of these. Of course there are more of these, because our games develop and we get new things out of them. Then comes along Detective by Portal Games. Now this has really been a great genre for them because they talk about games that tell stories, and these really, really do. The difference between those and all the cards that you have in comparison to the physical evidence of the previous is that you'll log that evidence on the Antares database, which is a website that you'll use perhaps through your phone or through your computer or however it is that you want to access it. Now through that you can research evidence, you can pull up more information, you're encouraged to Google certain things so that you understand what they are, you'll be looking at Wikipedia pages, you're bringing the real life into the game itself, and that's pretty exciting, to be honest. There's lots of twists and turns in the story. You're going to have to think of things like how tired your character is, whether you're going to be getting to the end at all, because if you tire yourself out too much, you can overtax yourself. All these considerations make it both a board game and the detective game, and a perfect modern merger where we're looking at real life technology. How would you find something out? Well, you Google it. That's exactly what this game says. Of course, there's more. There is things like Dig Deeper, where you're heading to the library to pick up those clues instead, or they have their more recent Vienna Connection, which I've not yet played, but understand to be set during the Cold War, so you still have access to technology to question things. And all of them work beautifully as a solo game, because if you are, like me, that person that reaches for their phone at probably far too many opportunities, you're actually going to be using it in this case. You're going to be researching things, you're going to be finding stuff out to then be able to say at the end of the game, I know who did that. I personally know who did that, and there is no greater satisfaction. But of course, it doesn't end there, because they are not the only players in this market. You have the escape games, if you would call those detective games, but I'm going to look more specifically at the Lucky Duck games of Chronicles of Crime. Now, I played 1400 and I loved it. You can read my review on the website, which is tabletopgaming.co.uk. It is a different way of doing things that invokes, or tries to invoke, a sort of the way you see things in games, and B, the way you interact. So, it's 1400. Before coronavirus made QR codes popular, Lucky Duck were using them as a way to zip your way around detective games. So you pull everything out, you have your table set up with everything in front of you, and you'll scan as you go the QR code. Now it might be that you scan it and you uncover something new at that location. It might be that it triggers a response, it might be that you find evidence, or you might choose to dig deeper into something by scanning the QR code on it. Now, on face value, scanning QR codes a lot doesn't sound like fun, but what you're really doing is you're sort of zipping between characters, zipping between what you're doing. This is an interview, quick, okay, oh no, actually I can send the dog to do that, or I can check out this, or I want to investigate further what this does if I apply this to it. And what you'll find is, instead of being distracted, which I find, again, quite easily done, you are pulled into going round and finding out different things. What happens if I put this with this? What do they say then? What happens if I go to that location and ask them about that? And you'll do so using those QR codes to go, you with that, this, and see what then comes out of it. They are in no way easy. Like, none of these games are easy. None of these games are going to give you an easy time of it. And that in itself pulls you deeper and deeper in, which makes them more exciting and more involving, because you're just not going to want to do anything else. You're going to want to know who stole that, or who murdered that, or who did this. And you're going to want to get to the end and go, I did that. That is a huge sense of satisfaction that is absolutely glorious and great fun. So, whether you are a Robert Downey Jr., whether you're a Benedict Cumberbatch, whether you are any mystical detective, or you're just you playing the game, there are a wealth of options out there for detective games, and they are great for solo play. So that would be my recommendation. Those 3 games are my sort of whistle-stop tour through detective games for solo play. I hope you've enjoyed. Let me know in the comments which ones are your favourite to play, whether you play them solo, whether you play them with a group of people, what sort of detective games you enjoy, and also what style of games you enjoy particularly for solo games too. Thank you so much for watching. You can find more from us at tabletopgaming.co.uk. You can also like and subscribe, thanks, to see more like this and to let us know what sort of content it is that you want to see. Thank you again for watching. I've been Charlie, and have a great day.